always the best hour here on the show. Thanks for choosing us this morning. Kyle Grant from Australia. I am Kay Adams. Then you see Nate Burleson and Peter Schrager. And we're going to hit the lead block real quick this time, guys. Let's go.
Lead block.
That's what I like to see. This week was he's a complicated fellow week. It's also the I'm offended t-shirt week, so it is only natural that we also hear from Brett Favre on his old teammate Aaron Rodgers. Yep, it wouldn't quite feel correct if we didn't do that. Here's what the Hall of Famer said on his podcast. Oh, Favre's got a podcast called Bowling with Favre, and it's all about Aaron's holdout. Take a look.
I mean, no one should be surprised. In the big picture, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll say this. It's mandatory minicamp. He missed it. They're probably not going to fine him per se. It's not the first time someone's missed a minicamp or an OTA or a mandatory participation, whatever that may be. I think you hit the panic button when training camp starts and Aaron's not there.
It's hard to see how this will change at all from now until the first day of training camp. Kyle, do you expect to see Aaron Rodgers at training camp, day one?
I'm still team no. I'm still no right now. We're all dividing into teams. Favre's right. And as much as we're talking about it all the time now, it's still kind of chill. When he doesn't show up to training camp, it jumps up like 5 notches. Then it's a real deal. And yet I still don't think he will, because what would happen? What would happen to change however it is he's feeling? What would the explanation be from him? What would the explanation be from LaFleur and all of them? Like, oh, we figured it out. Figured what out? I just don't see what major piece is going to move to get him there. Although we've talked about this and marinated on so much, I'm trying to think of a different direction. Is it possible that Aaron Rodgers, at this stage in his career, and specifically this stage of his life, is just kind of saying, you know what, I want the summer off, screw it. I'm treating myself. I'm engaged. I'm in love. Being engaged is one of the most magical, wonderful times of your life. It's very fleeting, very finite. You get married, it's still great, but it's just totally different. Maybe it's just like, I don't want to go to minicamp. I don't want to do any of this stuff. I have my grievances with the Packers for sure, but I just want to stay home and hang out with my fiance and go to Hawaii and mess around and watch dumb movies. I don't want to do it, and I feel like I've earned that at this point. Training camp's a different deal. Maybe I'll show up for training camp, but I don't know. Nate, do you remember being engaged? Don't you think there's maybe part of him he's just like, you know what? I'm going to stay right here and let the media think what they will, and maybe I'll mess with them a little because I'm Rodgers and I like doing that. I just don't feel like working this summer. He hasn't given us any indication otherwise. He's been so silent. It's hard to figure out. That's where my brain is going now as we're sitting here in June.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I hear you 100%. But maybe it's not, the analogy of being engaged. Maybe it's more like a messy love triangle, some Hollywood eyes wide shut type stuff. Because you look at the organization, they're one part of it. You look at the coaching staff, which is LaFleur, he's another part of it. And then the third part of this love triangle is Aaron Rodgers. And he's sitting back saying, I don't like this anymore. Like, it was fun. That one night was pretty wild, but this ain't my thing. I need something else. I need a little bit more commitment. I need to have a little bit more control on what's going on, because when we close the doors, I don't. And that's where it is right now. But if I can answer the question, do I expect him to be at minicamp? The very optimistic side, the football player in me, the guy who played 11 years, he says, yeah. Every guy that signs the contract and is loyal to his organization and to his team, he's going to show up, especially a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who I greatly respect and I played against and I wish I would have played for. I've repeated that and regurgitated that 1,000 times over on this show. But the guy removed from football, a fan of the game, Nate Burleson, the TV personality, I don't see it happening. And Aaron Rodgers has this disposition about him where he seems so at peace. We keep using the word zen. I just think he's at peace. He's at peace with the next chapter if it starts now. He's at peace with working another job if that is jeopardy. He's at peace never working again because maybe his money's right and he doesn't need to go out there and work for a buck. So I just feel like he's at peace. So I'm very conflicted. And if I had to pick one or the other, I would say the TV personality, Nate Burleson, is sitting here right now on TV talking about the sport. He doesn't believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to show up for training camp.
We got there.
It's powerful. It's very powerful. Look, there's a couple milestones and deadlines, and yard markers in between this. So July 6th is, I believe, when the golf match comes. He's going to be on microphone for 3 hours, busting chops. You better believe Brady and Bryson and, of course, Phil are going to be busting his chops about this whole situation. We might get some sort of insight, as goofy as that sounds, of him playing golf with a microphone on him, honestly, because you could control the message all you want, but when it's a live television situation and you can't control what the others are talking about, you might let something slip. Then you got July 26th, which is the Packers shareholder meeting. And of course, I explained this earlier in the week. There's no owner in Green Bay, so Mark Murphy, the CEO, holds a shareholder meeting, and the 360,000 shareholders of Packers stock can attend it in some way, virtually or what have you, and he's going to have to speak, and we'll get some kind of clarity on where they're at. But then July 27th is really the day. I don't think if he's absent on July 27th that we're getting him on August 1st or August 15th or September 1st. I think if he misses the start of training camp, Rodgers knows what goes into a championship season. I don't think he's going to be wanting to play a 17-game regular season, then several playoff games, and then go all the way to February 13th without having that important training camp time, not only to get his skills right, but to gel with his teammates. So I'm going to say right now, I don't think he shows up at the start of training camp based on everything we're hearing, and I think he is dug in on whatever his conviction is, and it will take a really, really compelling case from not only LaFleur, and I don't even think he wants to hear from the front office, but I think the teammates. I think this is going to have to come down to Devontae and Bakhtiari and Aaron
100%.
Jones and those guys, his core group, to make a real effort and maybe even fly out there and sit down with them and tell them, hey, we love you. We want you to be happy. But gosh, this would mean the world if you would just join us and let's go on one last ride. Because honestly, I don't think next year he's even sniffing the Packers if it doesn't get settled this time around.
Nobody thinks he's showing up day one. Both sides dug in. Who's gonna crack first? That's what we'll be watching for all month long leading up to training camp. Let's bring in Tom Pelissero because we do have some news about new protocols with COVID-19 to discuss and sort of outline. Tom, you've been all over this, and thank you so much for waking up early and joining us. Give us all the details.
Okay, the NFL and NFLPA have agreed to updated COVID protocols for 2021 training camp and the preseason. For fully vaccinated players and staff, it is largely going to be a return to normal with most restrictions lifted. For unvaccinated individuals, 2021 is going to look a lot like 2020. That means daily COVID testing, mandatory use of masks and social distancing, quarantine if you were exposed to a COVID positive individual. Players who aren't vaccinated can't eat with their teammates in the cafeteria. They can't go in the sauna or the steam room. On the road for games, you're not allowed to see your family and friends. You can't even leave the hotel to eat if you are unvaccinated. And this also carries over